What's up, everyone? I am Ernest Dove of the Dove Report. Let's talk position replacement again as we continue to hear rumors here and there about the Mets, who are obviously selling. I did my video recently on what could they possibly do at the first base position with a couple of wild card options. This one, not so much wild card, but I want to get into the catcher position because for some reason, one way or another, even if it's banter, even if it's for clicks, even if it's the proverbial play chess of all front offices to, as always, listen to any all calls, but maybe not trade at all anyway, will the New York Mets even go ahead and possibly, by rumor, trade one of Francisco Alvarez or Luis Torrens, who, despite everyone's thoughts, feelings, a lot of offense, not much defense, they may both obviously still have a lot of value in today's baseball because the catcher position, hello Cal Rayleigh, things can go up and down almost, it seems, even at like a reliever. So, at the position, what can the Mets do as replacements from the farm? I want to get into it, talk about a couple of players. I want to mention, mostly highlight, a young player who's definitely going to take a couple of years, if that, but he's very interesting. We got to start at the top. Everyone's favorite, former top first-round pick, Kevin Parada. He went on his Linsanity run for the Syracuse Mets before ultimately being demoted again. It was like, why would you demote a guy who's having the best slash line of his career in this 5 to 10 game span? My opinion was, at the time, the Mets needed the roster spot, mostly to just give the at-bats to the rehabbing guys like Polanco and Robert and others, as well as give the two older catchers, headlined by Hayden Senger, the everyday reps in case they're needed to get called up. Now Kevin Parada has quietly began to struggle again down at the AA level offensively. Then we also have my ongoing favorite, Chris Suero, who may now be the best defensive catcher in the New York Mets farm system. He's improved a lot over the last couple of years since my interview when he said the organization was looking to play him more every day as catcher. That has been the case down in AA. But the K rate remains very high. He's had a couple of hits now in the last game or so. He's been getting on base a few times in the last few games. A lot to be desired and needed from Chris Suero until the end of the season. But he does have his new power stroke. So in a couple of years, a guy like Suero, he could be a 20-plus home run bat from a catcher position with the versatility to play first and even left field. Outside of that, where else can the Mets go? Because I don't see Suero taking a spot in 2027 from one of these guys. Then you have to go even younger after that. That's my profile guy. 20-year-old catcher Dyverson Gutierrez, who looked like he had no business where he was. He's quietly thriving right now at the high A level for the Brooklyn Cyclones. Now, again, he's been age 20 all season. I felt it was a bit of a push and a rush to move him up to the high A level to break camp because he played pretty much a full season last year in St. Lucie, so I get it. But again, he played as a 19-year-old in St. Lucie. Kind of interesting. They did push him back up the extra level this year without any form of kind of trying again, maybe give him a month to settle in. They gave him the push, and it looked like a terrible idea. Slash lines, April, 171, 326, thanks to a nice walk rate. 257 slugging, 583 OPS. It obviously can't get worse than that. Yes, it can. In May, he hit a $127 with a 233 on-base percentage, a 190 slugging, and 423 OPS. It looked like he should have been demoted at that point. The Mets, one way or another, they believed in their guy. Even though the St. Lucie Mets, by the way, have catching core that includes college draft picks who could easily go up to high A one way or another, be it offensively, just for defense, just for the role. They have the option. They've stuck to Dyverson Gutierrez, and it is now working. I've been reporting on him even from last month. During the month of June, Dyverson Gutierrez hit 269, 337, 449, and a 786 OPS. Now, currently in July, his highest average, 292 in July, 345 on base, .417 slugging, 762 OPS. This makes sense to me because regardless of level, maybe things can transpire in a couple of years, perhaps out of Brooklyn and out of A-ball, but I'm not seeing a lot of power projections from Dyverson Gutierrez either way. I have seen him as a line drive player, hitter. That's going to be his thing. He's also a nice walk rate guy. And that's the thing. When he wasn't hitting at all in April, May, his K rate was low enough for me. So he was handling of sorts and putting the ball in play. Now it's working. The thing about Dyverson Gutierrez, some other stuff, even getting older, if he gets to the majors, is he going to be a platoon guy? Is he going to be a backup catcher? Here's the thing, just A-ball stats this year. OPS against lefties this year, 745. Against righties, this right-handed bat is only have a 601 OPS. Then, young player or not, here's the biggest kind of split in his entire offensive arsenal. Ahead in the count, 1.136 OPS this year when he gets ahead. When he gets behind, 311 OPS. Is that youth? Is that like a form of fear all of a sudden when you're behind in the count trying too hard? That's going to be a trouble spot for sure for a guy who at any point can go down 0-1, especially at the major league level when they throw strikes. It's going to be interesting. Now, defensively, Dyverson Gutierrez is the kind of guy who he has probably one of the strongest arms in the Mets farm system, but he may not currently still know what to do with it. My understanding is that he's got an extremely above average arm, but it's not translating in the form of caught stealing. I think it's a little bit of the footwork. I think it's technique. Obviously, things like pop time are these things that he can improve. He may have to become to become a major league catcher. That's my thoughts on Dyverson Gutierrez. If you want to go down another couple of levels lower, you know my thoughts on Giovanni Rodriguez, who's still having about an 850 OPS this year, good batting average, not too high of K rate. He's having an overall steady season way down in the complex league. I say leave him there for the rest of the year. He's been slow to develop. They even had him repeat Dominican Summer League. Looks like they're in no rush to start moving Giovanni Rodriguez. So those are the catching options. But for you guys, what are your thoughts? Should we even trade one or the other? I understand everyone's frustrations with Alvarez defensively, but his 750 plus OPS, his potential every year to hit over 20 home runs at the catcher position, there's his value. I really don't see Alvarez becoming a full-time DH, and I really don't see him transitioning to first base. I don't think his size, everything would work in that position. But what are your guys' thoughts? Do you keep trying with the young Alvarez? Keep him through his ARB years? Do you definitely just keep Luis Torrens through his new contract as a very steady, one of the best backup catchers in baseball? Do you make him a starting catcher next year and figure out a backup? You guys let me know in the comments, but we have options, but it's going to take a while.